All right, I'm sitting here over here. I'm thinking about like just who you are and stuff. You ultimately, I guess people be getting this one idea from them just getting lost within themselves. I guess they forget the point. Like you're whoever you are, your body, your mind, and then that your mind and how that bends in to become your body, but just your space before the mind or the body, your spirit, your space, and then your soul, your singular, the piece that you like singulared out, and bordered out, or whatever, made boundaries, so that you can know that that's what you're working with as far as your God-given responsibilities and duties and stuff. Otherwise, you'd be doing whatever, right? But it's like people forget, like it's like everything y'all be into, like Star Wars, Star Trek. Let's Star Trek first. Like Star Trek wasn't just one nigga in the show. It was Captain. Well, I don't want to give him the captain title, but you had Kirk, man. You had Kirk dude. You had Spock dude. You had the android robot dude. You had the females in the show that I forgot their names. It was a whole thing, right? It wasn't just like one dude. Even the Power Rangers, right? Power Rangers, you had the Megazord and shit. Each color Power Ranger had their own little like body part to maneuver. You know what I'm saying? With the Megazord fight. Or even just when they was doing it on the micro level, just in the little mini battles before that accumulated boss battle where they was already fighting dude, and then dude did some like blah 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 that he blew up, and then they had to Megazord it, right? To match dude, right? Or whoever they was fighting, right? But they be fighting as a team on the ground first before they do the Megazord. So they was like Megazord, period. But then, like, you know what I'm saying? If it came to that, then they would build that bigger body. But y'all get what I'm saying? It's like it was always a team. Basketball, game, sports, bro. Y'all be like missing the point. It's not just the quarterback on the field against the quarterback. It's not just the coach on the side of the line and then the other coach on the other sideline, and I guess they like, I don't know what they be doing, sitting on the sidelines just staring at each other from across the field like that. That's really what be going on. The sky boxes, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like that. But it ain't just so. It's like whatever this one, like whatever one, if there's any one thing, it always takes a multiple of other ones to make whatever one. So it's never just one thing somewhere by itself. Shit. And it's not even just ones, like, you know what I mean? It'd be females or twos. Well, everybody's like a 1-2, you know what I mean? But I ain't trying to get lost in that, because that's the 3, that's the body. So you got 1, 2, 3, thought, feeling, complete body, mind, surrounding, awareness. But 1 and 2 aren't separate. This is where you get like 2-1. Like shout out to the, I don't want to shout nobody out, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. 2-1 or 21 Savage, or niggas say fuck 12, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, but these aren't separate things. Like 12 and 21 ain't separate. It's like, so there's always this pairing thing going on, right? And the better you know how to like pair yourself with the right corresponding other parts of yourself, that's ultimately what's going on. I don't look at people separate than myself, and whatever experience I'm having in the 3D is something I already did internally, right? And then you got, so just like the fourth dimension, your mind thinking, foreknowledge, being able to think and think things out and see things be down the line, you know what I'm saying? Seeing things down the line before you even play out that timeline. And you know what I'm saying? And then you got 5, is just your vibe, that broader vibe, or that brawler, you know what I'm saying? That feeling, that phase. And then 6, that world that you're making as a body there in the 6th dimension, which is just your ability to pay attention at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And have just more awareness. Because it's like the same thing as 3. It's not any different than 3. It's no different than 1, 2, 3, and it's no different. You know what I'm saying? 4, 5, 6, and it's no different than 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 9 are just even more expanded. Same shit. So once you know that this is just your body, or your spirit making minds and shit, and then your mind, where the mind go, the body go. You start living your life differently because things is always changing. You might already fucking had a certain thoughts and feelings on your mind that came to be your life circumstances growing up and whatnot, because this is the death realm, so things are just playing out here, and you're really like your own character in your own movie, if you want to look at it like a movie, but it ain't really a movie. But you're moving. How you move yourself around it, or why you eat, or even, you know what I'm saying, if you have any motion at all. Some people ain't got no motion, so they may be trying to do things externally to maybe take things externally and try to bring it back into the inner world, because maybe they don't got those abilities, or they ain't developed those areas of themselves. So they might, you know what I'm saying, this is where it's each one teach one. Everybody need help. It's a team. Especially if you ain't as so much a developed adult type of spirit to even be in this type of body space, because I don't necessarily need like the world, because I could do a lot of things for myself. That means I must have already did a lot of these things already, because I have those abilities that I still made. Like, I still have those abilities, or at least I have the know-how to develop them. So I'm not doing things on my own, even in that aspect. Like, even if I didn't know something and I had to go like learn or pay attention to somebody else, what they expressing, that's fine. That's the whole point. I'm not in my ego like ashamed about myself. No. You know what I'm saying? It's like people have the wrong, you know what I'm saying? People just have the wrong idea. Like, not everybody, but just the world, just the way the world has kind of maybe been in the past cycles or whatever, and what led up to now. But now we're in a whole new like realization time. You know what I'm saying? It's like real again. But that's all I'm saying. Like, even in Star Wars, bruh, it was like always a team of motherfuckers, bruh. Like, if the Jedis and stuff, but they sat in a room and they sat down with each other and had a conversation, bruh, with no biases attached. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody might say something, this, that, but there was always a balance in order. You know what I'm saying? There was always a balance in order. And then Yoda was kind of like the trustee in the group, where he'd make the final decision after listening to everybody, and also after he inputted. And sometimes Yoda would get outweighed. So it's like everybody was a trustee in that group. Like, they all trusted each other because it was an order. It was quote unquote the Jedi order. So they didn't have no biases as far as like, hey, should we do this or shouldn't we do this? A lot of times they'd be like, shit, let's just sit back and observe, and let's see how things play out. Let's see what happens. Because they was wise enough, probably knowing they inside, you know what I'm saying? They don't got it all figured out. Sometimes they'd be like, look, the force is cloudy right now. We can't see shit clearly. We gotta let some things, you know what I'm saying? Things gotta play out so we could see what's gonna happen from that point. But if there ain't nothing apparent at the moment, what's the point of trying to force and go against the force? If the force that you're inside of is showing you that it's foggy at the moment, or things are unclear, or whatever it is, and then for you to be a being to receive that information, and then to still make certain decisions to go like going against that, that's where, you know what I'm saying, that's where people be in their egos and shit, stuff like that. They changed up this whole little area right here. There was a little, what the fuck? Last time I was here, this was a whole back alley, dude. Yo, when did they border this? When did they do this? This used to be like an alley. I swear this used to be like a back alley right here. Hey, well, never mind that. I'm happy you're here today. Yeah. Stay strong, man. You look still like you're fucking 10 years old. That's a good thing. Yeah, we're you know what I'm saying? You still moving around. You still got life. Real shit. That's how I look at it. Like, yeah, you ain't done until you fucking really out of here. You know what I'm saying? Even if you in a wheelchair, you ain't done learning some shit or something, or keep going or whatever. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the damn Star Wars movie and shit, bro. Like, that movie was cold, bro. There was a lot of shit going on in that movie, bro. And you know George Lucas wasn't just sitting around by himself that came up with all that. He had a team of motherfuckers, bro. He had to have, bro, because ain't nobody, that's a lot of damn, that was a lot of detail for just, you ain't doing all that by yourself as one motherfucker. I don't care what you think. Even if you think you just sat there by yourself, you had a whole bunch of other experiences in your life, or this, that, and third, with various interactions with other people, places, and things for you to come to any conclusions like that, even if you think you sitting down somewhere by yourself in a room or something. You know what I mean? But nah, they for sure had to have, like, that was a big movie. Like, they for sure had to have, like, help. That was a whole, like, 6 movie trilogy. You know what I'm saying? That they started backwards. So they went 4, 5, 6. Technically, they did it right. They started in the mind, and then the 1, 2, and 3 became so like that's even some colder game that I didn't even realize at the time, because I just wasn't aware like that yet. But I probably was peeping that. It just didn't make, you know what I'm saying? I didn't make that connection yet. Yeah, because that's what they did. They did the jet, you know what I'm saying? The Luke Skywalker, that was 4. And then they did the 5th one, and then they did the 6th one, the Empire Strikes Back or whatever, right? Or no, it was New Hope. Then goddamn Empire Strikes Back. No. Which one? It was goddamn Return of the Jedi. Then it was goddamn Empire Strikes Back. And then the last one, the 6th one, was New Hope. Right? And then somewhere they was already, and then maybe somewhere after those, or in between, they dropped like 1 and 2. And then, like, I remember like 5-10 years ago, or whatever that was, not even 5, like 15 years ago, whatever that was, that's when the 3rd one came out, and everybody was freaking out for that one, because that was the one that was like, it was the missing piece for you to know all, like, certain other shit. So then I went and seen that movie in the theater. That's how good it was. But that's how much I was like, you know what I'm saying? How much I'd be like already, you know what I'm saying? It's all about the natives, Indians and whatnot. But yeah, like one and, you know what I'm saying? Jar Jar Binks and all them, and Anakin was still growing up and shit, you know what I'm saying? He did the little race in the Tatooine. That's when he was growing up being a pilot. So yeah, they was always copying and shit, man, trying to make the white guy look like like he was piloting shit first and shit like that. Like, oh, we can't live without the white man. But hey, shout out to George Lucas. I was thinking this shit funny too, real quick. You got different Georges, right? You had goddamn different George Washingtons. So you had George Lucas. Lucas was just like the middle name. You think that's the last name. No, it's George Lucas Washington, right? George Clooney Washington. Curious George Washington. You know what I'm saying? That time, the Curious George, the monkey. You know, it's like Curious George Washington. That's where George, it was different. Or George Curious Washington, if you want to like say it backwards. And then you got back in Europe, or back in the, you know what I'm saying? It's all go back to England and shit. King George Washington. Shit like that. Paul George Washington. You get it? Or George Paul Washington, basketball player. All the Georges are like connected to Washington in some way, shape, or form. If you a George out there, you a seed of George. You know what I'm saying? You in that George Washington world until you change your name or something, or like whatever the case may be. Change your information, which is change. First, you got to change your state of being. Then you're gonna get different information. Then you can have a different name, possibly, if you decide to do. You know what I'm saying? If you're open enough to receive that new name, whatever the case may be. Well, you got all kind of Georges and stuff. George Lopez Washington. You see how that works? Like, you thought he was Spanish. He's still Spanish, but like, you see how it works? Like, George Lopez Washington. Fuck it. I know there's a whole bunch of Georges out there I'm just not thinking about, but that's pretty much that. As far as George Washington. So yeah, George Washington got just, like George Washington got different skins, like Call of Duty and stuff. You gotta get different skins and stuff. You can put on the like George Lopez suit if you want. He could put on the George W. Bush Washington suit if you want. George W. Bush Washington. So that's what that W stood for. It was George Bush Washington. You know what I mean? But they just do that like George W. Bush, George Washington Bush. You know what I'm saying? Senior and junior. You know what I'm saying? Senior and junior. I don't really be thinking about. I don't know. I don't be thinking about George like that. That one guy that lost his life a few years ago, George Floyd, Washington. You get it? Like, all right, enough of that. But then, all right, my last point is like, hey, that shit. See, all right, this is really what's going on. Like, the dude that was the hardest character in the Star Wars show was goddamn Chancellor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious. He was rocking everybody to sleep. Everybody was getting rocked to sleep by that dude. He damn near he made it all the way to the end with the final battle with like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and shit. And then Darth Vader ended up killing him, which is not a bad way to go out because Darth Vader was hard. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get killed by like some like, you know what I'm saying, some clone or some like droid or nothing. He was running all them niggas. And putting them niggas, you know what I'm saying? So like, think about it like that, bro. Like, look at today's time. Who do we see doing that? Who do we see doing that in today's time? Democrats, Republicans, somewhere behind the scenes. There's some dude or some dudes in cloaks. Because Darth Sidious wasn't the only one. He was a part of a whole nother like group of motherfuckers that was behind the scenes, and it was on that lineage of just like rocking everybody to sleep, and they'd be like the Sidiouses and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he was really Darth Sidious, but his front was Chancellor Palpatine, and then like, you know, so he was just like, he'd be like playing both sides and shit. That's what your body is. You ain't supposed to get lost in either one side. You know what I'm saying? So you could just like know how you relate. Shit, you could go the distance for real. And that's what that character showed. Like, that nigga was rocking everybody to sleep, dude. Everybody got rocked to sleep. Even Yoda, like the Jedis, Mace Windu. And then when Mace Windu found out, his ass got, you know what I'm saying? He got electrocuted in that fight, and then knocked that, and then Mace Windu got tossed out the window. So, and he was you know what I'm saying? That was the knee guy, right? That was Black Bro. So it was, as soon as he found out, and then tried to go confront bro, and then he got his ass sent out the window. You know what I'm saying? Now that's where like Darth Sidious was kind of like, he was starting to fall from grace. He wasn't starting to look so beautiful anymore. Like maybe at one point he was beautiful, but then like, you know, as time went on. But in his mind, he probably, shit, I mean, shit, he might have been kind of beautiful to some degree, pause no homo, because, again, that nigga made it all the way to the end. So, like, he was on some kind of beauty path. Even if it's like, you know, his physical looks might alter because of that electrical moment where Mace Windu deflected the lightsaber back at him. He fake stunned himself, and then that's when Anakin came in and, like, I think chopped off bruh's hand. And then that's when Emperor was like, ah! Gave him a final burst of lightning, and then that nigga went flying out the window. That movie's cold, dude. That's a cold ass movie, bruh. People run like the world, whoever's in charge, y'all need to go back to like shit like that, bruh. Without all the copying though, like make it talk about the real story that happened, bruh. People would love to hear the real story. Everybody believing in lies and shit. I bet if the government told the truth, but they did it in a way like, see, that's really what's been going on though. All these movies has been that, but I think if they did it like more in a way where people could relate, like, oh, that's me in the movie, or that character looked like me. And that's fake, kind of like what they was trying to do with like Wakanda and like all that kind of shit, right? Which that's where, like that shit don't really, like they ain't genuine and stuff. They somewhere separate from people out here, so they don't know how like to interact genuinely with people and know like the sentiment that people are experiencing for whatever time. Because you think you separate, you think you outside or something. Like you think you better or something. You think you're too good for something. You think it can't happen. You think it can't happen to you or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like you ain't. You know what I'm saying? You too comfortable or something. Or you so uncomfortable. You so internally uncomfortable. You need all that external validation and comfortability and like all those objects and shit to like safeguard you because you're a weak ass spirit to those motherfuckers in the world. That's how real spirit, or that's how real powerful looking. That's how we looking at, like, the more shit you need in the world, the weaker you are to God. And then that's where they know that, and they that's where they trying to be God in this world, because it's like they already on that path to some degree in life, just being after the fact, and they don't know no better. So that's what a child does. Child, like, on the playground, like I remember when I was on the playground with other kids and stuff, we would imagine like we were certain superheroes and different characters and stuff, and had like these little like pretend fights and shit. But guess what? At the end of the day, in reality, we know at the end of the day we was just using our imagination on the playground. We didn't like take these ideas. Well, I didn't. Maybe other kids did, but I didn't. I didn't like go home and take that idea with me. And if I did, I just didn't know no better at the time. You know what I'm saying? But I at least was in reality, like, to realize that, like, oh, okay, I was wearing that Spider-Man costume a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Or I was wearing that whatever costume a little too much. And I just, you know what I'm saying? It was like the actual black Spider-Man ooze suit that was like sticking to you. And then you realize that somewhere down, like, oh, I was trying to take the suit off, but the shit kept sticking to me. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta like figure out a way to clear this shit off of my body, or like whatever the case may be, or change. Yeah, it was like, that's really what it was in the movie, the Spider-Man movie. Bro only created that scenario or that situation for himself to even wear the black suit, because he was already in a certain state of being. I think it was from something that happened with Mary Jane or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then he felt like sad or depressed or something, and then, you know, one thing led to the next. Then, or he was already in them energies and stuff, and it was a build up to that, right? From the previous movies and all kind of shit. But yeah, just talking, breaking down movies and stuff. That Star Wars shit is funny to me. You know what I'm saying? The Emperor, Chancellor dude, he went to Disney. You know what I'm saying? He was rocking everybody to sleep. He was making sure all the plays was going. The people was trying to figure it out. Like everybody else was like bent, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like all these cats was like just getting rocked to sleep, bro. They was like steps behind, like thinking they knew what was going on and shit. And then that kind of go back to you know, the Jedi Order and stuff. They was getting rocked to sleep too. Even like I said, like Yoda, even the dark side cats, like Count Dooku. And some of the other cats and shit, right? them niggas was getting rocked to sleep too, because maybe they didn't know bro was working with the, you know what I'm saying? They didn't know bro was working with the Republic also. They, you know what I'm saying? Bro would meet up with Lord Sidious or whatever it did, but he didn't know dude was running the clones either, or maybe he did, like, but the way the Emperor presented it to Count Dooku or something was like, he was more like, he was making it seem like he was fucking more with him and shit like that. But he was really telling them some lies and shit, and that's probably where Count Dooku was kind of getting like a little side-eye, because Count Dooku wasn't dumb. You know, the dark side ain't dumb. The dark side, that's what the dark side is, lies and manipulation and being in the dark and heaviness and stuff. So he already was like seeing it coming, but he probably couldn't put two and two together quite yet, because he was still getting his, you know what I'm saying? He was still getting his 1-2. He was still getting his, yeah, he was still getting it in and whatnot. So I had to go back and watch that movie some more, but that movie was deep. And then you go into the animated series, it was even deeper, bro, because it's like there's more little scenes, other little scenarios and shit. You could go watch those and kind of like in your mind, if you know how to do that. That's what I did. I was like, okay, like these were like little filler. These were other little episodes that they just, it would have been too long to include in the main movies. You know what I'm saying? But these were like still like relevant situations that added to the shit you watch in the movie and whatnot. As far as the Clone Wars. Yeah, that's it. I just thought that was like it was like, there's a whole bunch of like, you know, mind manipulation going on by the people that directed the movie, and then, you know, whoever's watching the audience, they trying to like, you know, formulate your mind in a certain way. But ultimately though, it's about the goddamn, it was about the Native Indians and the culture here and the government here, and then like some cats. So like really the Emperor and Lord Sidious is like, you know, the white man today, like just rocking everybody to sleep, was manipulating everybody for the longest. Everybody got colonized. That's really what it was about. The Jedis was being used as like generals and shit to colonize, or like they was going and doing skirmishes and battles and shit they didn't even need to do, because the whole time there was cats somewhere in like the when there was the Senate and shit, you know what I mean? And then you go to the scenes, it'd be like that whole goddamn chamber room or whatever, like hundreds of senators and shit from different worlds and shit. So everybody, you know what I'm saying? So all the senators were like fake, well, they was getting rocked to sleep too by Chancellor Palpatine, but not as much. That was like a whole nother like world, because they was doing the political, that was like back doors and shit was going on, and certain things you don't know is happening, but like you got to put two and two together. Like, yeah, all these cats sitting in a room, but they all trying to like, you know what I'm saying? They like walk away from the meeting or whatever, and then they all have like their little thing to say about so-and-so or whomever. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody like smile in your face, but then, you know, when the cameras is off, that bitch ass nigga, you know, that nigga, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we gonna get them. You know, it gets real conniving and shit, or like, or even just like, what do you think about what so-and-so said? And then, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they talking to their little personal advisor or whatever. And it'd be all kind of little like dynamics, bro. All in some synthetic shit. It's all synthetic at the end of the day, but there is an element of real life, like, you know what I mean? The cult, like I see the culture, like people are the government. So, but when the government let one motherfucker or one group of people, because it's never just one person by themselves doing anything. That's ultimately the point of this 30-minute video. It wasn't just the Emperor rocking everybody to sleep by himself. He had help. Or he was like, you know what I'm saying? He was using you know, okay, when you know you got a piece of everything, you know how you supposed to relate in the world. Therefore, you ain't not being yourself, but nor are you just being yourself too much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're not really biased. You're just kind of more in a neutral space, and then you just deal with situations as they happen and shit. You're supposed to know how you're directing those energies and stuff. That's ultimately what's going on. You're supposed to be the director, the captain. You know what I'm saying? The captain of the ship. But yo, the illusion of like y'all looking at this face ain't just one body though. Like this face ain't just like one idea. It's a whole, like my whole body's at work right now.